fans, I'm Scott Douglas, and welcome to Tough Tracks. During the next few weeks, join us for a look back at the extraordinary events leading up to David Morris and the Equalizer winning the World Championship of the 1989 TNT Monster Truck Challenge. We're inside the world headquarters of TNT Motorsports here in Louisville, Kentucky, and with me is Chris Chapman. Chris, it seemed like every week there were new thrills and spills on the circuit.
That's right, Scott. We had trucks like USA 1 and the Equalizer slipping onto their top several times. When the Gravedigger held together, every ride was a wild one. And Carolina Crusher pushed Equalizer to the limit for the points title, but for the second year in a row, a rookie won it all. You know, Scott, monster truck racing is still being invented. The jump ahead in technology from 1988 to 1989 was impressive. And on top of that, more aggressive driving made for even better action.
All right, you are, Chris. Just imagine what the racing is going to be like in 1990. The word is that stronger yet lighter trucks will be the trend. Speaking of strong, also on today's Tough Tracks program, we'll determine the national champion for four-wheel drive trucks on the TNT AllAmerican Pulling Series. That's all happening in Rockford, Illinois. But first, here's a look back at the first event of 1989 on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge points race. It took place in Chicago, Illinois, and the Gravedigger dominated. In fact, Dennis Anderson won 4 out of the 5 races there. The other was won by a little-known rookie named David Morris and his unique truck, the Equalizer. Still, the big story in Chicago was not a winner, but USA 1, the defending world champion. On the very first night for points, he literally ran into a bunch of trouble. Here's how Army Armstrong and I called this quarterfinal round race. The pursuit for a second straight national championship continues for Rod Litzow in USA 1. Now he's up against Nightlight.
Everybody keeps an eye on a USA 1 truck. Litzow, he's the king of the sport. Comes out, attacks the track. He's an attacker. A big bounce. Oh, he's up. He's in trouble, Scott.
It's awful slick over there, and he went into the concrete,
He went into the concrete about 3 or 4 feet from us. The front end of the truck is buried in the concrete wall. Well, the wall's gone. Boy, this is a war inside this building in Chi-Town.
Well, you can see the officials trying to get around there and look and see if Rod's okay and the truck's okay. Wow, what a finish to that one between USA 1. Rod got the win over Dave Wachorek in Nightlife, but you can see there he pops out. Army's going to get down there and get to Rod Litzow as the crowd roars its approval of the USA 1 truck.
Rod Litzow just took one of the wildest rides we've seen all year long. Everything looked good until you got over onto the concrete part of the surface. What happened?
Well, once I hit to the concrete there, when you lock the tires up with this little bit of dust you have on the concrete, it's just like ice. It just went into like a slide, like you're riding on ice, and there's no way of stopping me.
Well, you're okay. Will the truck be able to come back and compete in the next round?
I don't know. We'll have to take it out and see what kind of damage I did. It's hard to tell right now.
The walls came tumbling down for USA 1 in that race, but Rod Litzow was not done yet. He comes back in the semifinals the same night and gets into even more trouble.
Everybody's going to keep an eye on the USA 1 Litzow. Problems a moment. Oh, look at here. He's coming on. A strong. Scott, we're in trouble down on this end.
He can't get it stopped, and again he's in the wall. As you can see, USA 1 for the second time tonight has hit the wall, but this time I think he really racked it a lot harder than he got it the first time. Army trying to get over there as the USA 1 and Rod Litzow, all the officials and the other drivers are wanting to get over and get a look and see if Rod Litzow is okay. You can see some of the drivers right now. There's John Moore climbing up to get a look. See if they can get some help to get Rod out of the USA 1 truck. He got into the concrete the first time he ran, or the second run of the night, but this time he really got into it hard, as you can see here at the end of the Chicago Amphitheater. There's Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher pilot, climbing up on the other side. As you can see, the concern on everybody's face over Rod Litzow, the defending national champ, got in serious trouble at the end of this run, could not get stopped. As we talked about earlier, it's a little slick at the end of the track here at the Chicago Amphitheater, and he got carried right into the wall once again. Now they do have the door open on the other side, and we'll see if they can get Rod out. Apparently, if you will, the passenger side door. There you can get a good look at the windshield and how smashed it is. So a serious accident for Rod Litzow at the end of the run, and right now it's just a matter of concern. Everybody worried and hoping that Rod Litzow is okay as the safety. And there he is. Rod Litzow is coming out of the truck, and that'll bring a roar from this crowd at the Chicago Amphitheater. What a wild run. The defending national champ waves to the crowd. He looks shaken as the officials and the other drivers all getting kind of pushing him on, say, you okay? And everybody say, wow, what a ride. Army Armstrong is down there, and hopefully we'll be able to get a word as Army's going to make his way over to the defending national champ who's had some wild rides, but that one's going to go down as one of the wildest he has ever been in. Let's see if Army can talk to Rod Litzow right now.
Right now, Rod Litzow's working with the EMC crew here in Chicago. Rod, real quick, we understand they're going to take you in to check out to make sure you're okay. How do you feel you are?
I feel like I'm okay, but just to make sure everything's okay.
I'll tell you what, we appreciate the medical crew and what they've done. I'm sorry for the bad luck. It's a heck of a way to start a year. So Rod Litzow, USA 1, not the ending you wanted tonight. Rod, we'll let you get in the ambulance. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
Shaken, but we're glad he's okay. Rod Litzow in USA 1. He won that race, but won't be able to return. So that's going to put Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher into the finals. The defending champion getting off on the wrong foot as 1989 got underway. But getting off on the right foot was Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger. Here's how he called the finals that day. Back at the Chicago Amphitheater, Army Armstrong, this is what they came to see, the championship round, and it is Gravedigger and Carolina Crusher.
Chevrolet side by side to see who will win that all-important first race for the National Point Championship in 1989. Two friends until right now, they're enemies. Both want to take a win, both powered by Chevrolet. Who's it going to be? Dennis Anderson back in winning form with the Gravedigger.
What a start for Dennis Anderson from Chesapeake, Virginia. The Gravedigger Chevrolet has marched into Chicago and come away with the points lead for 1989. He gets that first big race victory. Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger. When we return, we'll take a look back at figure eight racing last June in Louisville, Kentucky, featuring the Gravedigger. It's outdoors on a long, wicked course. Tough Tracks is brought to you by the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo, now you're playing with power. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tough Tracks. I'm Scott Douglas as we review all the sensational action of 1989 on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. In June, the Monsters invaded the beautiful Louisville Motor Speedway in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, what made this event so unique was that Louisville Motor Speedway is an oval, but in the center of the racetrack is an X. It's a figure eight course, and the Monsters here ran the figure eight. You have to jump the cars and crush them twice. You're looking now at a semifinal race between Equalizer and Carolina Crusher. The first big matchup of the season between these two trucks that would eventually battle for the World Championship of Monster Truck Racing. Here's how they finished it up. It's Equalizer on the outside, Crusher on the inside. Watch them come for home. Sensational finish, side by side. They cross the finish line. Here it comes again as you watch the replay. The Crusher with a lot of air, Equalizer hugging a little closer to the cars, but coming away with the victory in the semifinal. There you get a good look. Carolina Crusher by maybe 6 inches gets the win over the Equalizer at Louisville. That was a semifinal matchup, and of course these two would duel throughout the year. The next semifinal sent Gravedigger up against the Jersey Outlaw. Gravedigger carrying the silver flag, significant of winning the championship the previous week on Tough Tracks. Good matchup here between the very popular and growing Ford product of Vic Rossi, the Jersey Outlaw, with Mike Wine, a tough rookie driver, against the veteran Dennis Anderson and the popular Gravedigger, who at this point in the season was leading the battle for the World Points Championship. You can see Digger has the advantage here. Always, Dennis hits the cars hard, going all out, makes the turn, got very close to the wall, has himself quite a lead right now over the Outlaw, and Dennis will not let up coming for home. An easy win for Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger. Semifinal round action in Louisville, Kentucky. Jersey Outlaw finishes. Not that strong here, but Outlaw would get much better as the season goes on, with Mike Wine gaining experience each run. The championship matchup, Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger against Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. One of the more exciting outdoor races of the season, and we had a bunch of them, but this was a thrilling matchup. Digger starts on the inside, and of course you end up flip-flopping on this course. but the key to watch is how Digger comes off that first set of cars. Let's watch the run. There you see it. He's a little out of control. The door pops open and into the wall. Smoke billowing out of the Gravedigger. Anderson trying to get it turned around. There are flash fire from underneath the engine. Digger's in a world of trouble. And Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher grabs the silver flag by taking the race victory at Louisville Motor Speedway. You can see the Digger there again. Once again, fire coming out of the exhaust at that point. Digger always giving it all he's got, but that time a little too much as he runs into the wall at Louisville Motor Speedway in Louisville, Kentucky. That victory went to the Crusher, but certainly the Gravedigger continues to make a lot of fans. Porter goes and gets the silver flag, takes it off the Gravedigger, and marches to put it on the Carolina Crusher, the first time Gary had the silver flag in '89. It's time for the Crunch of the Week.
Hold on to your seats for the amazing Crunch of the Week, brought to you by Micro Machines, the #1 colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
This week's Crunch of the Week, Gary Wiggins, Mopar Magic at Foxborough, Massachusetts in Sullivan Stadium, where the Patriots play football. Mopar against Gravedigger, up, up, and over. Mopar Magic over on his side. Wow. Gary Wiggins from Williamston, North Carolina, one more time on the Crunch of the Week, brought to you by Micro Machines from Galoob. We'll be right back.
Mr. 4x4 has the Intermountain West's largest selection of 2- and 4-wheel drive truck accessories at factory direct prices. Mr.
Tough Tracks back with you on the TNT All-American Pulling Series from a track that's considered one of the finest short tracks in the entire nation. The Deary's beautiful Rockford Speedway in Rockford, Illinois. There's Manuel Marino from Seguin, Texas, his Yellow Rose of Texas, trying to catch Tommy Holman. Tommy Holman and the Saturday Night Driller leading the points, and this is for the big bucks in the Redman All-American Pulling Series. He comes into the final weekend in Rockford, leading the Yellow Rose by 50 points. Donnie Sanders and the Tennessean, Mr. Sparkle, the Golahan Special, all very strong in the top 5. The Bandit currently with Roger Crawford tied for the 5th spot. Then Footloose is 7th. The High Roller 8th. Jerry Weaver checks in at number 9. And Three Bears with Robert Smith from Virginia rounding out the top 10. Now, we're going to show you some highlights from the first night of competition in Rockford before we pick up the action on the deciding final day in Rockford, Illinois. All right, this is the Yellow Rose of Texas, Manuel Marino. Let's watch him pull. As you saw, a good pull for Manuel Marino, not quite a full pull, 296.26. So Manuel Marino lays down a good run, trying to track down Tommy Holman and the Saturday Night Driller. Next, we get a look at Roger Crawford and the Bandit from Granville, Ohio. Full pull for the Bandit, and Roger Crawford would go on to win this first night of competition on the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series, the big super series of pulling throughout the summer. Let's watch it again on the full pull as you see Roger Crawford out of Granville, Ohio. He takes the Bandit right on out of here, putting down the full pull for the victory. Now the Saturday Night Driller out of Wayne, Ohio. This is his pull. Let's watch it. Not a good pull at all. So Tommy Holman, 265.65. That's only 7th. That gives Manuel Marino an excellent chance of catching him here in Rockford. Let's find out from Mike Goss what Tommy thinks of the track in Ohio.
Tommy, that could really hurt you in the points race, getting behind Manuel in this class.
You got to build a track before I can win.
What's the matter with it?
This track's no good. It's hauled in here, it's soft. We just can't get a hold of it. Every guy just keeps dropping back. No, not a chance, really, you know.
Heard you let off the throttle one time. What happened there?
Well, it's just breaking loose. Like I say, there's nothing underneath the tires, so you have to take what you get. And tomorrow I'm last again, so I suppose I'll come out of here back a little ways in the point.
I certainly don't believe Tommy Holman's going to concede anything getting ready to come out for the final night of competition, but he's right. The order of draw that we're going to see in a moment will have Holman once again last in the competition. His point lead over Manuel Marino is down to 10. The Yellow Rose of Texas certainly has put himself in a position to try and catch Tommy Holman out of Wayne, Ohio in the Saturday Night Driller as they pull in Rockford, Illinois. Donnie Sanders and the Tennesseans 100 back of the lead as you saw how the top 3 will fare, and you look at the rest of the top 10 coming into this final night of competition in Rockford, Illinois. Now, Mike Goss was getting with all the pullers to get ready for the final round, the final pull for the big bucks on the 4x4 Modifieds for 1989 on the Summer Point Series. And he talked with Manuel Marino, and just basically, Mike asked Manuel if he thought his Yellow Rose of Texas can catch Tommy Holman.
Manuel, it's do or die tonight for the national title. Can you catch Tommy Holman?
If the truck holds together, we probably can. We spun a bearing last night, and we put another one in. We're still getting copper in the oil, so it'll be hard. It's a hard decision to run it as it is, but we have no choice.
You've been in this position before. You've won a national title before, but, you know, any butterflies? Are you nervous? What's your feelings right now?
I feel good tonight. My gut feeling is the truck will hold together. So I hope my gut feeling is right.
Overall this summer, how have things gone for you? You've had a few engine problems?
We've had a lot of problems with the motor this year. The reason being we're turning more RPM than normal, and every time you do that, you are going to have problems. So we didn't bring enough parts out.
Saturday Night Driller will again be the last hook, and that's bad news on a loose track. Mike asked Tommy Holman how he's going to handle the track and the pressure.
Last night, as you know, I was last hook, and I draw the last number again tonight, which is on a track that's coming apart like this one did last night. It's something to worry about. Tonight, I feel maybe the track is going to be better. They got it covered. They're trying to get a little bit of moisture up in the top of it. It's kind of a funny track. The track is dry on top and wet underneath, and they're trying to make it more consistent tonight. There just wasn't much anybody could do with it all the way through last night. The first pullers seemed to be the winners, the first pack, and the back of the pack set back. And I only had I believe a 50 or 60 point lead going into last night, and it's diminished down to 10. And I'm just going to have to do good tonight, or watch what the heck's happening.
There they are, Tommy Holman and Manuel Marino, head-to-head for the National Four-Wheel Drive Championship. That's coming up later on Tough Tracks. Welcome back to Tough Tracks. I'm Scott Douglas, and we're reviewing the highlights from 1989 on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Here's how Army Armstrong and I called the final from the first night of racing in Lima, Ohio.
It's going to be an awfully good race, and I don't want to use that cliche over and over again, but I have no idea who's going to win it. I know both trucks are exactly where they want to be. Morris wants that flag. The flag indicates the last winner. It's a psychological boost. Porter wants to hang on to it. It's a good lead, the starting line. Right lane's out a little bit. It looks like the kid out of Tennessee coming out of good. Coming off the second ramp, looks awfully good. And Scott, the flag is going to change hands in Lima, Ohio.
Impressive run for David Morris and the equalizer out of Springfield, Tennessee. What's really impressive, we're going to see a replay in a moment, and watch after he comes off the second set of cars. Morris does get back off of it for a minute, straightens up to make sure both of those front wheels hit the cars so there aren't any disqualifications, and then he takes the win. Look how high he got.
Well, what happens is he runs a unique chassis on the truck, and the four-wheel suspension works a little bit better. It enables him to actually correct the truck quicker than the other fellas, and that's what won it for him. Just some heads-up quick driving.
The same two trucks met the next week in the finals from Lima, Ohio. The rivalry between Carolina Crusher and Equalizer was born. Here's our call. Can he do it again and pad that point lead? We're about to find out. Equalizer and Carolina Crusher. A week ago, Equalizer beat the Crusher.
Just a minute ago, when they went into the vehicles, the driver of the Carolina Crusher looked at me and said, I'm going after him. I'm going to get the flag back. Well, actions speak louder than words. The flag's on the Equalizer. The Crusher moves in the lane. Yellow truck, far side, quick qualifying time of the night, lane choice. He's where he wants to be. The Equalizer's where he wants to be. Porter is coming after this kid in the Equalizer with a vengeance. He wants him in the worst way.
A great start, and it looks like, again, Equalizer has himself a good shot on that right lane.
Keep an eye on Porter. He's setting up for the final. Now he goes. Porter pulls the trigger and goes into the winner's circle. Gary Porter did not care about the first two jumps. He just wanted to be setting straight for the final, and it paid off for him, Scott.
He left himself just stable enough off that second jump, but with plenty of momentum, and then he really nailed the throttle, let it all hang out over that final set of cars, and it was all Carolina Crusher, and I think everybody a little bit surprised at the relative ease with which Carolina Crusher seemed to get the victory over Equalizer.
Yeah, but the Equalizer, Morris did a beautiful job. He came off of that second jump really out of shape. The truck responded good, but Porter didn't care about the second jump. He was just looking at the far end of the track where the finish line is.
We'll have more 1989 monster truck racing highlights later right here on Tough Track. But coming up next, it's the last four-wheel drive class of the year. Either the Yellow Rose of Texas or the Saturday Night Thriller will win the national title. Stay tuned.
It's Christmas.
With the big bucks, the point fund money on the line and up for grabs. It's the final event of the year on the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series. Modified four-wheel drive truck pulling action. We're in Rockford, Illinois at the Rockford Speedway. First up tonight, Glenn Davis and Mr. Sparkle out of Miramar, Florida. A good pull for Glenn Davis to get us started, 280.65. He started slow in 89, but Davis is finishing strong.
Yeah, I started out, my first three weren't with the greatest, but I started out 14th when I come out here a month ago, and now I'm up to 4th place and hoping to move into 3rd place.
Not too bad for a new truck. You've just been getting used to it this year, haven't you?
Yeah, when I got my big sponsor from the Sparkle Corporation, a new truck and a new motor and stuff, it took a little getting used to, but I got her dialed in.
Going to be after it next year?
Oh, yeah, I'm coming strong next year.
Glenn Davis now with the distance to beat, 280.65. Temple Brizendine out of Hanoverton, Virginia, in Footloose will now go after that distance. Not going to get there. Let's get the official read on it from Brizendine. Not bad, 271.18. So Footloose right now, at least for the moment, is in second behind Mr. Sparkle and the Floridian Glenn Davis. Robert Golahan and the Golahan Special now brings out the Ford to try and knock off Mr. Sparkle. Now, problem, you can tell from Robert Golahan, he's not going to get there at all. The distance well short of 280. Let's see, it comes in at 247.25. So Robert Golahan obviously disappointed and not really going to be up in the big money today. Donnie Sanders, one of the best in the world, the Tennessean from Nashville, Tennessee. The distance Donnie needs to beat, 280 feet, .65. 280 is what he's trying to beat. Close, I think he's got it. Donnie Sanders, the Tennessean, there it is, 281.39, the new leader. Donnie Sanders from Nashville, Tennessee. Mike Goss is going to get a word with him right now.
Donnie Glenn Davis was one guy you had to deal with in points here, and you just went past him. Who else are you worried about?
Well, I'm pretty well where I'm at in the points race right now. I believe after tonight it's going to, it really, as long as I made a good run, my position's not going to change. I got to run against Tommy Holman and Manuel. They're back there both, and I felt like I made a good run. I just had to sit here and hope that it is.
Yeah. Those two guys, I mean, the national title probably be decided between those two guys tonight. Who do you think's got the edge?
Well, Manuel's motor's hurting a little bit right now, and I think Holman's got the edge a little bit, but it's something about that Mexican luck that makes you wonder.
We're going to find out right now. Thanks, Donnie, for those comments and insights as we get ready to watch Manuel Marino lay it all on the line in the Yellow Rose of Texas. Once he hooks and once he gets rolling, there's Tommy Holman got a pace in the floor, knowing he's got to pull last and waiting to see what Marino does. You know, Sanders knows that once Marino starts, if he just gets rolling, there's nothing Sanders can do about improving himself in the points. The question is, can Marino beat Holman and take the title? Here he goes. All right, Manuel Marino, a decent pull, 272.67. Again, Tommy Holman has to go last, so he's got a long way to go to get by Manuel Marino.
Manuel, can Tommy Holman beat that?
I think he can. He's got a lot of power, and I think he can.
You had engine problems. You worked on it hard today. How do you think it performed?
I didn't run it as hard as I should have, but that's what I could do.
This is another look at the run by Manuel Marino and the Yellow Rose of Texas. To win the national title, Tommy Holman must go past the 272.67 foot mark. We'll see if he can do it a little bit later, right here on Tough Tracks. Tough Tracks with the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. I'm Scott Douglas, once again reviewing all the great highlights of 1989 in TNT Monster Truck Racing. Here at the Richmond International Raceway, a beautiful facility that hosts 2 NASCAR Winston Cup races a year, and it also hosts the Major League of Monster Truck Racing, the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Now, in July, this quarterfinal race between USA 1 and the Equalizer was worth the price of admission. Over on his side, on his roof, shearing off a wheel, David Morris, the rookie, comes out of the Equalizer. He's okay after a sensational flip. What a wild run for David Morris and the Equalizer in Richmond, Virginia at Richmond International Raceway. The safety crews, the TNT crews, everybody getting over, even some of the other drivers, to make sure David's okay after a wild ride. Let's watch it again right into your living room. Look at Morris come off the last set, and you see the wheel just buckle, and over goes the Equalizer. And it actually shears off that front wheel. David Morris was okay, and the truck would actually be back the next week. Army Armstrong was able to talk with David Morris after that wild ride. It was quite a moment for David Morris, and here was his interview with Army Armstrong after the wild run in Richmond.
David, you set up a war and you fought a good battle. I can't think of anything else that you could have done to win that thing. It was awesome.
Well, I didn't know what happened. I knew I made a good landing when I landed, and I don't know, I couldn't figure out why the truck would be rolling, but I knew it was, so I hope it didn't hit Rod's anywhere.
No, Rod's okay. He was over here worried about you. The landing was good. The bounce is where the problem came in. You landed, it looked good, and then you took a real weird bounce that we've been talking about all night long, and it went over to the left front, and that's what tore the whole front suspension out from underneath the truck.
Well, I didn't know what happened. I knew something had happened major because the truck had started into a roll, and it hadn't been doing it when it takes that kind of landing, so I knew something had to broke.
We're going to let you. They're going to put you right back to work. Gary Cook's got a bunch of guys. They're going to try to get the truck fixed. We're glad you're okay. We'll see you on the tour later on.
Okay, thanks.
That truck ends up coming back next week. We'll see it in a minute. Boy, oh boy, Equalizer was just a violent flip, and you can see that when that wheel sheared, it really left him in a very vulnerable position. Now, Rod Litzow won that race, but was eliminated later. Here's the finals from that night in Richmond. Nightlife and Dave Wysorek in the championship against the hometown favorite, Chesapeake, Virginia's Dennis Anderson and the Grave Digger. And the Digger wins it in Richmond. Dennis Anderson outside. He had a great indoor season in the winter. Here he gets a big outdoor win in July as he puts the Grave Digger in victory lane at Richmond International Raceway in Richmond, Virginia. Dennis Anderson, in front of an awful lot of hometown fans, got the win that night. Now, the next week in Richmond, David Morris and the Equalizer was back. Unbelievably, we're going to watch him race against Carolina Crusher. Outstanding race, and you can see the Equalizer was going full tilt boogie, but the Crusher got him on that one. And Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher would make it to the finals that night against Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. Silver flag flying from the back of the Gravedigger. A packed house, mostly Gravedigger fans in Richmond, Virginia, when you consider that Dennis Anderson, the driver of the Gravedigger, is from Chesapeake, Virginia. But hey, there were a lot of Carolina Crusher fans and Gary Porter fans there as well, and the folks loved this matchup in the championship. Let's watch the Monster Smash final from Richmond, Virginia, between the Gravedigger and the Carolina Crusher, as Gary Porter pulls his truck to the line and readies to go for all the marbles in Richmond, Virginia. Carolina Crusher serves notice that at this point in the season, he intended to stay on top of the world point standings. The win to the Carolina Crusher. When we return, the national champion of modified four-wheel drive pulling is crowned on the TNT Pulling Series. The TNT All-American Pulling Series crowning its 4x4 modified champion in truck pulling at Rockford Speedway. You know, Rockford Speedway every year hosts the National Short Track Stock Car Racing Championship, but here on this September weekend, they played host to the modified 4x4 championship in the TNT All-American Pulling Series. This is Three Bears and Robert Smith from Winchester, Virginia. Distance to beat, 281.39. He's not going to get there. The distance for Robert Smith and Three Bears, 269.95. Our next puller in Rockford, Illinois, Roger Crawford and the Bandit from Granville, Ohio. Certainly Crawford, a driver and a puller the caliber of knocking off the leader right now, Donnie Sanders in the Tennessean, but he's going to have to go some to do it. 281.39 on this track, and with this sled is going to be a tough pull. Let's watch the Bandit. Good, but not quite good enough. Donnie Sanders still has the lead. The Bandit's pull is 275.36. Mike Goss is going to go over and talk to the Bandit's Roger Crawford about that pull.
Roger, not a bad season points-wise.
No, I had a real good season. We was going real good till we had a little few problems at New Hampshire, but with the win last night and the third here tonight, I'm real pleased with it. And I'd just like to say thanks to TRW, Kendall Motor Oil, and my wife and family, because it takes so much time and traveling. And thanks to Redman and TNT. We're real happy.
Going to get back after it next year?
Oh, we're going to try to and run again this winter.
Okay.
So, thank you.
He's sitting third now. There you see some of the crew, and Tommy Holman's wife is the folks watching the Saturday Night Driller. You can see Tommy's wife was the one hanging her head for a minute. The pressure is awesome, because if Tommy Holman can crack that top three and get past Manuel Marino, he'll win the national championship. Holman's going for it right now. He's got to get past 272.67. He's close. He's close. The distance is 276.52. Your new national champion in modified four-wheel drive trucks, taking the big bucks on the Redman Series, Tommy Holman and the Saturday Night Driller from Wayne, Ohio. Tommy Holman is the national champion, and Mike Goss is going to talk to him about it right now.
Tommy just won a national championship.
It feels great. It feels really great.
You nervous up there at the starting line at all?
Yeah, today I really was. Just hoping that the truck stayed on the ground and the track held together. And they did a great job on the track today. They put a little more moisture in it, and it stayed pretty even for everybody. We just tickled to death to do it.
Competition like this really gets your blood flowing, doesn't it?
Oh, man, I tell you, this TNT circuit's just I've pulled in other circuits before, and I've never seen anything as tough as this. I mean, it's just nick and tuck all the way, you know, one position right here to the end, and that's close.
All right, congratulations to you.
Thanks a lot.
Right there.
A reason to be proud. This is the Major League in truck and tractor pulling, and Tommy Holman is the champion of the modified four-wheel drive trucks. Mike Speller, TNT Techman, congratulating him on a great season. Here's the way they finished the final night in Rockford. Donnie Sanders wins the event. Mr. Sparkle second. Saturday Night Driller doing what he had to do, finishing third with the Yellow Rose fifth behind the Bandit. That leaves the point, a 30-point championship for the Driller over the Yellow Rose. Donnie Sanders ends up third. Mr. Sparkle fourth. The Bandit is in the number 5 spot at 2160, and the TNT All-American Pulling Series paid the big bucks to the top 5. The Go-Ahead Special, Footloose, Three Bears, High Roller, and the Weaver Special of Jerry Weaver, rounding out the top 10 on a great summer of pulling. At the 1989 TNT Award ceremonies recently in Louisville, Kentucky, Chris Chapman asked Donnie Sanders to assess 1989, to look back at the season and to look forward to 1990.
Donnie, assess the 1989 season for you.
Well, being over, it's been a good season, I guess. You got to give, I guess, a lot of hand there to Tommy Holman, because he done a good job this year. He's won the points, and Manuel come along there with a lot of breakage, and he done well. And I guess I'm very lucky to be third.
Any predictions and expectations for your team in 1990?
They're going to work hard at it, I guess, and try to run the wheels off of Tommy Holman next year.
Well, it looks like everybody will be after Tommy Holman next year, especially Manuel Moreno. Chris Chapman talked to him at the award ceremony.
Manuel, review the 1989 season for you in the Yellow Rose.
We had a good year. We had a lot of breakage problems, but we finished second. We would like to beat Holman, which we didn't. But other than that, we had a good year. Can't complain. The TNT organization was great. Redman and everybody was great, so we had a good year.
What do you think about 1990? What do you predict is going to happen next year?
Well, I think I can win. I know I will win. I'll buy more parts and try I can hold the guys back, and we're going to give it the best shot we can.
So the pressure is on for Tommy Holman to repeat in 1990. But for now, the Saturday Night Driller is the national champion.
Tommy, assess the 1989 season for you in the Saturday Night Driller.
It was great. Number one, just can't be any better than that.
What gave you such a winning combination?
I think Jerry Janke had a lot to do with it. I had the biggest engine on the circuit this year. The truck seemed to work real good. We worked hard at it, and everything stayed together real well all year.
So what about 1990? What do you think is going to happen next year?
Oh, I'm expecting a repeat of what happened this year. I think there's 3 or 4 guys who are going to be after me real heavy out there, but I think with a lot of work and a few changes that we made this winter, I think we'll be right back there next year.
And we'll be right back with more 1989 Monster Truck highlights.
Mr. Ford.
We're still taking a look back at highlights from the 1989 TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Now, in 1988, USA 1 defeated Bigfoot for the World Championship. When they squared off in August in Buffalo, New York, it was a war.
Who's going to win? Bragging rights. Ford versus Chevrolet. This one's worth the price of admission itself, guys.
USA 1, Rod Litzow, Bigfoot and Andy Brandt. They're coming at you, Army.
Litzow pulls the trigger. He's in trouble. Litzow's going over again.
Rod Litzow has flipped it again. USA 1 is on its roof again after a win over Bigfoot. Here he comes out of the truck. The Army's over there to help him out. Some of the other crew guys are there. Litzow, it looks like Rod's okay. He is taking it on its roof. Here it is again. Now watch as Litzow has to give it everything he's got. He'll beat Bigfoot by a matter of inches. But to do it, he's got to flat put it, hammer down. And when he does, and then hits the brake, he comes right over on his top. Watch the wheels lock. Over he goes. Oh, what a horrendous crash, and putting it on its roof. USA 1, the defending national champ, makes it 2 in a row in Buffalo, but how much damage did he do to the truck when he went over on his roof? So the defending champion of the world, Rod Litzow in USA 1, was in trouble again. What a year he had. Flips and wall smashes and all kinds of problems. But a week after the flip against Bigfoot in Buffalo, he was back to racing in Weedsport, New York. The big white Chevrolet had suffered mainly just some sheet metal damage, and Rod's nerves were made of steel. In Weedsport, he won 2 out of 2 nights of racing. Here's our call of the final from the first night against none other than Bigfoot. It's the defending national champion, USA 1, and Rod Litzow. He's been battling all week, of course, coming back from that flip a week ago here on Tough Tracks. Obviously, the truck is beat up, but very, very fast. And Bigfoot, who feels like he needs some redemption right here. He lost the matchup to a flipping USA 1 a week ago, and Bigfoot wants to mash USA 1 right here.
Well, Scott, you got a whole lot of pride sitting on the starting line. You got to remember, these trucks are both second-generation trucks. Everett Jasmer started out the designer and builder builder of USA 1, as did Bob Chandler, start out the designer and builder of Bigfoot. A lot of pride on the line, not only for the owners, not only for the drivers, but for the manufacturers. That is Ford going against Chevrolet. Litzau trying to come back to prove he can do it. Nobody has done what he's attempting to do now. That's to win 3 events in a row in 1989, and he's doing it the hard way.
Rod Litzau is on the left-hand side of your screen. There you look in the cockpit. Andy Brass ready to go in Bigfoot. This is what it's all about. This is for all the marbles, and it could be a big win for USA 1 on the national points chase, or a big one for Prime if Bigfoot can knock him off right here, running the New York Tour with the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. They're looking at that green starting light. They're at the start line, and they're off, Army.
Both drivers lead side by side. Who gets the best bounce? USA 1, the best bounce. He's going to take the win.
3 in a row as the crowd roars in Weedsport, New York. He's done it again, the Chevrolet. Rod Litzau and USA 1 from Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. There's his thrilled crew chief, Steve Wilkie. He has worked so hard on this truck since the flip last week, and boy, you can see how excited he is as Rod Litzau, the USA 1 team, gets the win here in Weedsport. Now let's take one more look at some of the highlights from early in 1989 on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge.
You've just seen some of the exciting highlights from TNT Monster Truck Challenge racing early in 1989. Already you've seen crunching action from USA 1 and from the Equalizer, and there's more in store over the next 2 weeks as we take a look back at how Equalizer unseated USA 1 as the world champion. Chris, where are we off to next week?
Scott, our fans probably remember Kalamazoo, Michigan as the most exhilarating event of the 1989 season. More flips by both USA 1 and King Crunch. And then we're off to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where USA 1 jumped more than 100 feet. Also, we'll crown the national champion of the super modified two-wheel drive trucks of the TNT All-American Pulling Series. It's the Midnight Express's last chance to catch the Sundance Kid.
You know, I remember that big leap by USA 1 in Milwaukee, and it's amazing to think how far these vehicles have come. You know, TNT Motorsports is 10 years old this year. Early on, exhibition vehicles at TNT events were like this old beer wagon, complete with barrels and the original engine. We'd hook it to the sled, and it would pop a wheelie all the way down the pulling track. That's all of our highlights show this week. Please join us next week for more exciting action from 1989. Until then, I'm Scott Douglas for Chris Chapman and Army Armstrong. We'll see you next week here on Tough Tracks.